In our last video about accessible content, we're going to take a look at alternatives to interactive interfaces. Now, the first and most common example is interactive maps. Interactive maps can be visually complex and generally unusable for people with visual impairments. How am I going to see the map if I can't see? And this is also something where you can consider providing text-based alternatives for screen readers. So for example, if I'm looking for directions to a place, do I have a list of the steps and the directions? Are those readable by a screen reader? If I'm taking a look for a location of a store, am I able to find a local store in a list of available stores using what's considered a proximity search? Here's my address, what's the closest store to me? And then it should provide me with a list, not just a map. And that needs to be something that works well with keyboards and works well with screen readers. So those are what we mean about text alternatives. Avoid using any sort of colors for information. This goes back to what we said before about color for information, not the only form of information, because that might be unrecognizable to colorblind people. Consider providing also data tables for any sort of complex information. Sometimes maps are used to depict information in the same way as graphs and charts. Perhaps it's population density or political boundaries or other information that you may be able to depict in a data table form. So if you do provide that, just make sure that that data table page or form is easily recognized by someone using a keyboard and a screen reader so they can navigate over to that instead. Speaking of charts and graphs, that's another common accessibility thing. Not nearly as bad oftentimes as a map, but sometimes may be an issue. You want to make sure that you provide, again, any complex information from charts and graphs are also provided in a data table so that, again, screen readers can access that easily and understand that information. Sometimes charts and graphs are just notoriously cumbersome or difficult for screen readers to really understand context of the numbers and labels that they're reading. Make sure that if you do have charts and graphs, that their text is accessible to screen readers and also keyboard navigation as necessary, uh, because sometimes charts and graphs might be just an image. Now, they can be created using things like SVGs or other things, but just be aware that images, um, especially images with charts and graphs, may include lots of text and things that scale down, might lack good contrast, might lack sufficiently large text for people that are even sighted to be able to read those things. But certainly screen readers are the biggest concern there. Use color sparingly. Colorblind people may not be able to notice the color difference in what you're using in a chart. So just be sensitive to what color blindness impact there would be. That is testable. There's a great Chrome plugin called No Coffee, oddly enough, that you can use to test those things if you're not sure. But if not, then again, avoid using color as the only form of information. Make sure to watch for those font sizes, even if it's not in an image. Font sizes oftentimes in charts and graphs can get very small when you're trying to compact a lot of information in a single space. Enlarge it. Make sure that it's big enough. If you need to take up more screen real estate, that's just the solution there. And also make sure to use sufficient color contrast so that differences in elements can be recognized. So that's certainly not the only interactive elements on a web page that you may need, but this should at least give you enough of a sense of what you need to keep in mind. Remember what we said about images in content, because sometimes that can be a part of the interactive experience as well.